Hello and welcome to another video. In this one, I'll be asking the question, what is the war in Ukraine? To figure that out, we have to ask the question, what is war? War is a duel. It is a battle that is fought between two partners, in this case, Russia and Ukraine. How do you win a war? You win a war by disarming the enemy. If one cannot fight a war, then there is no war. So, how does either side disarm the enemy? To determine that, we have to look at what both sides are fighting for, and what the consequences of losing are, and what the gains of winning are. So, what is Ukraine fighting for? Ukraine is fighting for their own existence. What are the consequences of losing? They will lose their own independence. And what can they hope to achieve by fighting? Their independence. They want to regain all of the Russian-occupied territory in Ukraine, so this southern part. For Ukraine to regain this southern part, they have to defeat the Russian army in the south. So they have to disarm the Russian army in the south. The situation has changed, but we'll come back to that later. First, we'll have a look at what Russia is fighting, what they hope to achieve, what they risk losing. So looking at what they have most of the Kherson Oblast, they have Crimea, they have half of Zaporizhia, they have most of Luhansk, and they have most of Donetsk. They have about 16% of Ukrainian territory occupied. So that is what they stand to lose. Now, what do they stand to gain by fighting? They can at the very least gain the rest of the regions that I've mentioned, and at most they can regain all of Ukraine. So if we look at the consequences, then Ukraine has much more consequences of losing, while Russia has much more potential of winning. Now, when does a country give up a war? That is when the consequences outweigh the benefits. When the consequences of losing is worth less than the benefits of winning, then the war will end. So in this case, if their loss is getting the southern part, including Kherson, Zaporizhia, Donetsk, and Luhansk, then their loss is worth losing for. And their win is getting one more region, like Dnipro or Kharkiv or Odessa. Then this loss is worth taking, because why would you lose so much more to gain so little more? While if they're losing on Russia's side, which currently is losing everything they have of Ukraine, and winning is potentially gaining everything, then they have a reason to fight. So we have to look at the Russian media and see what are their takes at what Russia can win, and what are the takes at what Russia can lose. The takes is that Russia can lose all of Ukraine, and the takes are that Russia can take all of Ukraine. So far it seems that Russia will not stop fighting. As for Ukraine, Ukraine's take is that they stand to gain everything and they stand to lose everything. So they also will not stop fighting. Now, who determines the rules of war? Who determines what weapons will be used, and so on? There are no constant rules. The rules are defined after every fight. However, there are 3 basic laws that are to be followed. The first of these 3 basic laws is that both sides want to win. How that win is defined is up to either side. However, both sides are fighting to win it. The second law is that what weapons I use is what weapon they will use. So they do not want to use any weapons, they don't want to be used against them. An example of this is in World War I, where both sides started using gas attacks. First Germany developed it and started using it. Then the West started developing it. Then the West developed it and used it. And after that, the war included gas. So in the Second World War, there were barely any instances of gas attacks compared to World War I. That is because if one side used it, the other side would use it. And they knew that. And because of how horrible gas attacks are, we're still not seeing it today. So weapons I use, weapons enemy will use. So the rules are determined on that. And finally, both sides will increase their efforts to the extreme. Russia will do everything in their power to win, and Ukraine will do everything in their power to win. That means Russia still has a lot to do, but Ukraine has already done everything they want to do. Ukraine cannot go further. They have gone extremely in depth. They have gotten help from all the Western countries. They have mobilized all their men. They cannot go further. They have gone to the 100%. While Russia has gone to about 30 or 40%, which is a very significant increase compared to what they started out with. But so far they haven't gone to the extreme, which indicates Russia is not fully in this fight yet. They're not determined to win yet. But that contradicts my first law. Everyone is determined to win. Well, that is because Russia has defined victory containing less effort than they want to, containing less effort than what they really need. They need 80%, but they're using 40%. Another example of the second law, which is what weapons I use, the weapons the enemy will use, is the Kerch Bridge attack. After the Ukrainians attacked the Kerch Bridge, destroying half of it, the Russians started attacking the Ukrainian energy infrastructure. Then you may ask, how is it a tit for tat? That is because Russia considers Crimea Russian. So Ukraine went to Russia, according to Russia, and destroyed critical infrastructure. So Russia is now attacking Ukrainian critical infrastructure. Tit for tat. Anyways, so based on this, we see that the current rules in the Ukraine war is that critical infrastructure is a go, war crimes is a go, because both of them commit those, and a lot of other things are a go. What isn't a go is nuclear weapons, gas attacks, chemical weapons, biological weapons, all of these heavily catastrophic weapons, but also everything that the United States have not given Ukraine. If the United States starts sending F-16s or A-10s to Ukraine, then Russia will up their air power and increase their effort in this war. So what we're seeing is that Russia is moderating their effort to match up with the Western effort. So whenever the West increases their effort, Russia will increase their effort. So that is the real explanation of the third rule, the third law. That the effort will match each other. Similar to how the weapons will match each other, the effort will match each other as well. So what are those three laws? The three laws are: number one, both sides wish to win. Number two, if I use a weapon, the enemy will try to use the same weapon. And number three, my effort will be reflected in their effort. If I put 100%, they'll put 100%. So this is why Russia starts their rhetoric with, this is not a war between Russia and Ukraine, this is a war between Russia and the West. Because this way, they do not have to put 100% of effort into this war. Because the West have not put 100% of effort. Ukraine has, but the West hasn't. That's how Russia excuses their poor performance. They excuse it by saying, the West is involved, they can increase their effort, I can increase my effort. So that's how it is. That is the war in Ukraine explained. Thank you all for watching, and have a great day.